So yeah, we did it. I don't think they were planning on revealing all the ascendancies as they did, but people asked for it and they delivered. I'm super happy that they did that. I think it's very important for everybody to know that at least what the ascendancy is gonna be, the one that they're picking, right? It actually is a very big deal, of course, and most importantly, since we cannot change ascendancies in the early access, for the time being at least, that might change in the future. I think it is extremely important for us to have that kind of information. Okay, so yeah, big thank you to GG for doing that. And since my Leaguestarter most likely will be a Sork and yeah, Stormweaver, we're gonna check out the Sork class first and the two Ascendancies. So we have Stormweaver here. I gotta say, Stormweaver looks even better than expected. So you will notice that all of the Ascendancies have their starting point here on the top of it, and yeah, the branches start from that original spot, right? So we have number one in here, Scar Winds. Exposure inflicts lower the affected resistance by an additional 20%. Now, there is a huge change in PoE 2 compared to PoE 1. How the resistances and the curses, the exposure, the elemental penetration works. From my understanding, hopefully I'm 100% correct about that, is that basically they inverted how this works in PoE 1, and elemental penetration can no longer go below 0. Make a monster's elemental resistances negative, and now the minus resistance, the exposure, the the curses that we're using, lowering whatever lowers the resistance of a monster, that can go lower now. Again, I don't think we have 100% confirmation about this, and it's something that unfortunately nobody asked on the interviews that Jonathan was giving. So yeah, I believe that is the case. But no matter what, this is a very powerful effect, especially for skills that take a full advance of having lower resistance on the monsters. Not all skills are affected the same but by lower resistances. It is always good to have at least some. But yeah, Scar Winds, very simple things, but very powerful as well. And it could be a very powerful effect early on also. Now we're gonna go to the other side here. This is number 10. This is Heart of the Storm. So both of them you can take however you want without any restrictions, and they don't have any other nodes connected to them, right? So this is 40% of elemental damage taken recouped as energy sealed. Now, this is a little bit more of a niche passive in general. I would say that this is a little bit more of a CI focused passive. If you go Chaos Inoculation and you're focused on energy sealed only, this is fantastic. Energy sealed recoup, it's not really a stat that we are coming along very often. I haven't seen anything on the passive tree yet. Of course, we only have a fraction of the passive tree, but yeah. So very powerful, right? 40% as well. It is a huge number. It's a big number. 40% of the damage taken being recouped. Recoup means that the damage that you are taking, the percentage of the recoup that damage is coming back to you as recovery for 4 seconds. Yeah, 4 seconds. Yeah. Let's keep going here. We're gonna start on this line over here because this is a very nice early game. Not only early, but I think it's gonna be really strong early on as well. So we have Tempest Caller. grant skills Elemental Storm and trigger Elemental Storm on critical hit with spells only. And the Elemental Storm creates a stationary fire called All Lightning Storm at the current at the target location for a duration based on the highest elemental damage type for the hit that triggered the storm, for the hit that critted basically. Hits which do not deal elemental damage will not trigger the storm. So we don't have all the information of the spell, first of all, right? So we don't know the duration, and we don't know the AoE, how big the AoE is, and also if it has any kind of cooldown, right? So I'm a little bit cautious about that. This is most likely gonna be my first passive for Stormweaver, but there are a lot of other things that I can do. Actually, yeah, that solves it. So let's talk about third here. Rain Dancer. Elemental Storm has 150% more cooldown recovery rate. So that definitely has a cooldown then. Okay, that actually makes a little bit sense, to be fair, because, yeah, 150% more cooldown recovery rate is a huge number as well. That makes me think that Elemental Storm is gonna have a fairly high cooldown in general. We can get some cooldown recovery rate on the passive tree though, so that's really good, and most likely on some of our gear pieces as well, so that would be nice. And yeah, one other thing that we don't know, I am hoping this is not gonna be the case, but I feel like it will, like if the Elemental Storm doesn't have a shared cooldown, so maybe you can proc a cold one and then a line one and then a fire one and stuff like that, it would be amazing. But I'm guessing it would share cooldown, otherwise it would probably be mentioned. Okay, let's go to the other side here for 8 and 9 here, right? Very, very powerful passives. Constant Gale, you have Arcane Surge. Arcane Surge, I'm hoping this is readable. If it's not, Arcane Surge grants 10% more cast speed and 20% more mana regeneration rate. Two absolutely fantastic stats for a various of different builds, and generally speaking, two amazing stats for almost any spellcaster, right? More cast speed and more mana regen. Also two things that we generally don't get in our gear or in the passive tree. So yeah, it gives a lot more value to everything else that you have on the increased cast speed, increased mana regen and stuff like that. And the 9th Force of Will here increased 1% effect of Arcane Surge on you per 15 maximum mana. So there it is. This is what I'm looking for, the support for a mana stacking build, because this is what I'm aiming to do with the Archmages and eventually MOM. So this is definitely a way to boost your mana regeneration by a lot, because don't forget that Mind Over Matter right now gives you 50% less mana recovery, and that's affecting everything, right? Mana regen, leads, but we don't have spell leads, of course, for mana, but yeah, mana regen, leads, and the flask, so it's affecting everything. So you need to boost a lot of mana recovery in general to make Mind Over Matter work right now, and this is right up there. This is right up there, right? Very, very quick math here. If I pop my calculator, right? Let's say that you have 3000 mana, which it shouldn't be that bad early on. That gives you 200% effect, and that means that you're getting 60% more mana regeneration rate. Very strong, very strong. Like even early on, this is a very powerful combination of the two to have. Now, if you don't stack mana, right, Arcane Surge by itself, it's still a very, very nice stat to have, with just for the 10% more cast speed and the extra mana regeneration. Yeah, so it's very, very good, very, very good. And we don't even know if Arcane Surge exists on supports. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we can check it out real quick. Oh, it does exist. Okay. Yeah, it does exist. Okay. It's it doesn't say if it's the same. It's a lot harder. I mean, gain Arcane says after spending a total of 100% of your maximum mana on support skills. Yeah, it is a lot harder. It is a lot harder. And it is almost non-existent for a mana stacking build. Because like, let's say you have 5,000 mana, spending 5,000 mana on the supported skill of Arcane Surge to get it for 8 seconds, it's like the uptime is gonna be atrocious. So yeah, if you go like Arcane Surge as a mana stacking build, you need that. You 100% need that. I mean, even if you manage to regenerate your mana fast enough, spending 5,000 mana as a mana stacking build is not fast. Like it's not how you usually build your character, right? You want powerful spells with decent cast speed, but like you don't spam 100%. So yeah. Now let's move to this to the middle part here. When they revealed the Stormweaver, a couple of nodes, I assumed we would get, we knew that we are getting the Saber of Storms. I assumed we are getting Saber of, Cold, Winter, whatever you want to call it. And also I thought we would get Flames, but we don't. Now, let's check 6 and 7 here. This is the strike twice. Targets can be affected by 2 of your shocks at the same time. 50% less shock duration. And Saber of Storms, all damage from hits contributes to shock chance, right? I would very much prefer if those were a little bit in inverse. Like the strike twice is not something that you want on just any build that does line damage, for example, for shocks, right? It kinda needs a little bit more of a specific setup to make it work. You need to deal with the less duration, right? And maybe you need shock effect to make it worthwhile. We're gonna have to find out. Elements work a little bit differently in PoE2, so yeah, it's a little bit of more of a niche passive in my opinion. And all damage from hits contributes to shock chance. This is a very, very powerful one, but you need to spend 4 passive ascendancy points to get it, right? So a little bit lower value, I would say, generally speaking. Still very good though, still very good, especially if you can boost your shocks and get a massive more damage multiplier out of them, right? So yeah, if you can achieve that for bosses, it's gonna be insane. Now we have 4 and 5 here, Heavy Snows and Shape of Winter. Here are the juice though, because targets can be affected by 2 of your chills at the same time. Your chills can reduce action speed by up to a maximum of 35%. 25% less magnitude of chill you inflict. Magnitude is basically another word for effect, right? So that people understand. So that makes it harder for your chills to hit their maximum effect, but reducing action speed up to a maximum 35% is absolutely insane. If you can achieve that on bosses, it is absolutely insane. It is an incredible defensive layer that I cannot even describe. Like reducing bosses action speed by that much, it is extremely powerful, extremely powerful. Now, I don't know if we're gonna be able to actually achieve that on bosses, but we'll see. We'll see. If it's stacking with temporal chains, yeah, it should, yeah. That's a good question. No, I don't think it would stack, because temp chains. Okay, let me see. Temporal chains. No, I don't think it would stack. They both lower. So because both of them are lowering the action speed, right? What happens with anything that affects action speed is that the highest effect is the one that is being applied, right? So yeah, I don't think they would stack. It would be insane if they would. And yeah, the Saber of Winter, all damage from hits contributes to chill magnitude. That means that, yeah, you can probably, with big hits, achieve this kind of chill effect on your characters, right? So I'll talk a little bit about my build. Of course, a lot of things, probably will change as we are testing things and we're exploring things in PoE2 in general. But like my initial plan is to go for Tempest Caller on the first ascent, right? Depending on the cooldown recovery rate, I might feel a little bit more inclined on getting the Rain Dancer. And of course, we need to see the spell as well, right? Like we don't know a few key pieces of information here. We need to know their cooldown, we need to know their AoE, we need to know their duration, right? So yeah, if those are not very good, the damage of course as well, right? But for the damage, I'm not that much worried because Archmage is an aura now, so we're gonna get the Archmage boost on Elemental Storm anyway. So I'm not that worried about the damage per se, but we need to see if it's actually gonna be good, based on the duration and the AoE and the cooldown, stuff like that. I am guessing that Constant Gale and Force of Will are gonna be the two next passives that I'm going. Arcane Surge and the effect. They also probably gonna be coming at a point that mana pool is gonna be getting higher and higher. So this should give us some really good initial value already on the Arcane Surge effect to get much better cast speed and mana regeneration. And more importantly, with this, we might be a little bit more free on the passive tree to not grab and not travel wherever there is cast speed, right? So we just grab a little bit of cast speed where we can, of course, and then we are boosting our Arcane Surge to get the more cast speed in our favor, and we hopefully gonna have enough cast speed in general and not feel bad about ourselves, right? And about our builds. Now, the last one is a little bit tricky. Like the easy combination here would be Tempest Caller, Arcane Surge, and the Scarlet Witch for the extra exposure, for the additional 20% for the exposure. But generally speaking, we're gonna be using line skills, like I'm planning on doing ball lighting and most likely some mark there. I'm going to try Spark as well, but I don't think Spark is very good for Archmage and mana stacking. But yeah, if we do that, and I might go for the chills, like keep the Arcane Surge and go for the chills, forgo the Tempest Caller and the exposure, right? And just go for the chills, grab the defensive layer out of that, and have a much better time against bosses, right? That's the big one, because at that point, once we get the last passive for our Ascendancies, it's gonna be time to start doing a little bit more bosses, unlocking our Atlas passives and all of that jazz, So that means that you need to get some defensive layers on your character. And once again, mind over matter, I don't think it's gonna be activated by that point, because again, it requires a lot of work. I might be wrong. If we can activate it earlier, we're gonna do so 100%, because it's gonna be absolutely OP. But yeah. So yeah, I'm feeling that this is probably gonna be my combination. And then we have the other side of the Stormweaver, that you don't go Archmage, you just go plain old caster, most likely some kind of cast or crit setup as well, with a lot of triggers, with the energy and all the meta gems and stuff like that. And then you go for Arcane Search, and you go for Shocks or Chills, depending on your needs. If you go CI on a later stage, you will want the Heart of Storms. This could be weird sometimes. You might want to respect it only for some bosses, but I feel like this is just insane, man. This is just insane. Holy. And yeah, like a lot of good things and a lot of choices in general. I'm really hoping that the Elemental Storm and all the spells and the things that we are getting from Ascendancies, I'm really hoping that they're gonna be in a good spot, right? Because it would be a little bit of a shame to have stuff like that on the Ascendancies, especially with a new skill system, because again, we are going to be adding support gems on the Elemental Storm. It's not just, oh, you know what, that's it, there. So yeah, it's gonna be amazing in general to have the ability to do it on anything that grants you other skills and attacks and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that I may nail the design of that one. And honestly, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. Based on all the information we are getting about PoE2 so far, it's just absolutely. Next up, we have Chronomancer, the second Ascendancy for the Shock. This is a little bit of a tough Ascendancy to get a good read right now, but I do think that it's gonna have its place. I do think it's gonna have its place, right? Okay. Let's start with the notes that we can take without any restrictions, 5 and 6. So 5 is Quicksand Hourglass. Every 12 seconds gain 50% more cast speed for 4 seconds. Now, this is the type of passive that I personally don't really enjoy very much, because the uptime is just very weird, it's not good. I'm not a huge fan in general. I don't think a lot of people are, but yeah, maybe there is a niche case about this. Generally speaking, I just don't see it. 50% more cast speed though, it is an absolute insane number, so it could have some implications for like very high burst damage. Like I don't know, maybe with a spark build, for example, right? Maybe with a spark build, you pop some cooldowns and whatever buffs you are getting out of during a boss fight, and then you pump for 4 seconds and you basically carpet an arena with sparks, right? Like, it's a possibility. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not, but yeah, again, we'll see. Apex of the moment, enemies in your presence are slowed by 20%. I mean, if that's not something for an aura bot, I don't know what is, right? But then again, it's not a bad one for a mapping character. If you are talking about a full mapping character, this is also very powerful, right? It's a very nice effect to have, if you can afford it and you don't need anything else for your mapping needs, of course, right? But yeah, because Ascendancy points, they're always a huge, let's say, how to describe this? Like, it's very much a choice game, right? You are, whatever you are getting from one Ascendancy passive, that means that there is another passive that you are not getting. So yeah, it's a trade-off always, that means that if the trade-off here is not very good, even for a mapping character, you probably don't take it. Okay, now let's start with the two in the middle here. So we have 7 and 8. This is circular heartbeat. 30% of damage taken recouped as life. This is a very, very powerful effect. I don't know how much recoup we're gonna have in the passive tree. In PoE 1 we have like how much is it after the buffs? Like 48, maybe even more than that percent. So yeah. Can I explain recoup? Yeah. So basically whatever hit is coming to your character, 30% of that hit is going to be recovered, regenerated in the next 4 seconds. So you take the hit and 30% of that damage after mitigation and stuff like that, it's gonna be recouped to you for 4 seconds. And there are some effects, at least in PoE 1, I don't know if we're gonna get it in PoE 2, that made this recoup occur over 3 seconds. So that makes the recovery even stronger, right? So basically the idea behind recoup characters is that you're getting enough mitigation so that any hit that it's coming, you have like 60% of that damage being recouped. So you're basically never dying from any hits unless it's a very, very big hit, and even that probably not gonna kill you if you have a good character. I mean, we don't know if Progenesis is gonna be there. I don't think so, man. I don't think those kind of endgame uniques are gonna be there, at least at the start of the early access, right? I don't know. Oh yeah, for sure. And we have Rapid River. Oh, I was talking about this. Recoup effects instead occur over 4 seconds. Wait. Did they change how recoup works in PoE 2? Wait a minute. Isn't recoup 4 seconds by default? Where are the nodes? They are here. Yeah, it is 4 seconds by default. Okay, I am not losing it. Alright, I still know my shit. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation, POB. Love you. So yeah, maybe they made it like 6 seconds, and maybe they made it 6 seconds, and this lowers it to 4 seconds. Now we're traveling here, we have 1, 2, and then on the other side we have 4 and 3. So 1 and 2 skills have 33% chance to not consume a cooldown when used. Now let's see what the 2 is. This is time snap, manipulates time, resetting the cooldowns of your other skills. So here's the thing, very generic description here. We don't have any, you know, kind of cooldown or anything like that on this, so kind of hard to get a good glimpse of the spell. But generally speaking, this is not very appealing at this moment, at least, right? Until we see everything. The reason why I'm talking about is that generally speaking, in PoE, you don't really want cooldowns, right? We don't use a lot of them. Most of the cooldowns in PoE 1 at least were mostly defensive layers. Now we don't have those defensive layers in PoE 2, at least not in the same form. So yeah, this could be a very strong one for supporting characters. You know, if they're using a lot of cooldown skills to boost their party, then you're going for time snap, recovering all of your cooldowns, resetting them, and go again. And of course, with now and again, you have a chance to, you know, just keep pumping the same spell without, you know, getting the cooldown. It's very weird to understand if this is gonna be very strong right now or if it's gonna be garbage, right? And on the other side, we have, this is 4 first. That means we are getting temporal lift first. Passively lives after images of your recent past. Cast the spell to return to the oldest after image, teleporting to that location and resetting your life, mana, NES to the values they had at the time. So yeah, this is definitely a very powerful effect. It remains to be seen if it's gonna be smooth to use. Effects like that, they're a little bit clunky sometimes. So yeah, it really depends on how often it lives after images, how much the duration is, and stuff like that, right? But it could be a very powerful effect for sure, defensively and even offensively. Like you might have a build that just spends all of their mana. Maybe it's a mana stacking with Archmages or anything like that, right? You can spend all of your mana, throw your best out, and then temporal lift and go again. So yeah, a lot of implication and a lot of cool things that could happen with things like that. Again, it remains to be seen if it's gonna be a smooth gameplay on the other hand. And we have everyone's favorite on the bottom here, Time Freeze. Releases a large wave that stops time for all affected enemies for a duration. Duration is lower the more times the enemy has had time stopped for them. So yeah, this actually works for your party members, like they also gonna see them being stopped in time, and you can chain them, for if you have 2 or 3 Chronomancers in your party, but as the spells actually states, it's gonna be having lower duration, right? So you cannot perma freeze them basically. A very fun one, a very fun spell. If it's gonna be good or not, we're gonna have to find out. I am curious to play a Chronomancer at some point. It is a little bit lower on my list of the things that I want to play because there are so many good things